Welcome, everybody. I'm going to have your attention for a few moments.
Why?
Why not? I don't know. It's a good question. Why not? Well, we're here. Thank you all very much for coming. This is our annual membership meeting, which is actually in person for the first time since, 2019? Wow. So, yay! We're also recording this so that for folks who aren't here in the room with us, you'll be able to hear all the stuff that we're talking about and saying, and if people have questions, you might be able to hear those too. My name is Brendan Costello. As I'm sure you guys all know, I'm the Vice President of Irish American Writers and Artists. Very pleased to be with you today. And again, thank you all very much for coming. For those who didn't get, there's some wine outside if you want to have a beverage. And I'm just going to sort of dive right into my portion of the proceedings. I'm going to talk for a little bit while about salons and some special events, and then our president is going to come up and give a full state of the organization speech or presentation. I am working without a script. I apologize for that. That is my bad, but this is the end of the semester and there's a lot of stuff going on. But as you also know, I'm the coordinator for our salons, which we usually we're trying to do. We profess to do twice a month, but at this point we are pretty much just averaging about once a month, because as you know, going through COVID was a very rocky and tumultuous period where we were basically all online for a while, and then as we sort of migrated back to being in person, we found ourselves seeking sort of a new home. At this point, we are sort of settled in, I would say pretty well established at this restaurant called the Ellington on the Upper West Side on 105th and Broadway, and I think most of you guys have been there, so you know what I'm talking about. It's a wonderful place. It happens to be really convenient for me and for Alec and Maria. We're all within a few blocks of it. But also, the owner is an Irish woman, and the room that we have is sort of they close off from the main dining area, and we have our own space. It's not totally soundproof, and it's not really huge, so we don't have room for most dance presentations and so on. But it's doing okay for us right now. Just briefly, I want to talk a little bit about my feeling and my hope that what the salons are and what they're sort of evolving into and what they've been really is something that is, first off, it's sort of the thing that we do most consistently or most frequently, and it is our sort of most frequent public-facing thing. And I think it's representative of the mission of our group overall, in that it's providing a forum for our members and artists and people who want to express themselves, to share their work. A lot of times it's work in progress. Sometimes it's work that's closer to being finished. Sometimes it might be the first time a person is sharing their work or speaking publicly at all. And I think that we've done a very good job. Our members and the people we bring, to the audience, provide a sort of a safe and welcoming environment that makes it possible for people who, have shows at the Irish Rep and people who have never read their work before in public to both be sort of in the same space and, getting the same attention. We have been very fortunate that, as time has gone by, we have been joined by more and more people who are at, higher levels of accomplishment. And I think that that's a very good thing that I'm personally very eager to see continue, because I think it's really good for people who are not necessarily, like, for example, having their place at the Irish Rep, to encounter people whose work is being there and to sort of, to have a real life, in-person, aspirational model to sort of, ideally what I think the salons and what the organization can do is for people who are working artists to everybody to kind of bring their game up and to do better and to improve and to evolve as writers and artists in whatever field they are. And I think that we also, I think it's something you've all seen if you've witnessed our salons, that we always have an incredible array of work, not just in terms of where people are at in their creative journey, but also just the type of work that's being presented. Even if everyone is just reading, there is a really wide variety of the types of poetry that are presented. We have people who read like slam poetry. We have people who read like they're, Robert Browning, so, or Elizabeth Browning even, in fact. Not that, it's not a contest. Actually, that's a joke, but it's also not a joke. It is not a contest, right? I think that's a thing that we do pretty well. I'm reminded of, there's a line, I think it was actually Jerry Garcia said about the Grateful Dead. He said, "We're not the best at what we do, but we're the only ones that do it." And I think there's some truth to that, right? But the success of the salons has everything to do with the participation of our members, and also encouraging new people to come in and bringing new people in the audience, and then having some of them become presenters and become members of our organization. So I've left up here brochures, bookmarks, and our business cards, and this is the evangelical proselytizing moment of my speech, where I'm going to say, let's all go out there and bring in more people and tell more people about our organization. The easiest thing to do is to say, give them a card or give them one of these items and just send them to our website, which is IAWA.org, and they can sign up for the newsletter. They can see the stuff that we've done and see ideally what things are upcoming. Let me just see here if I can refer to my notes briefly. Yes, we are sort of still in the process of seeking another venue where we can be presenting on a regular basis, or at least a semi-regular basis. It was similar to the Cell, which we haven't really been able to return to frequently, but occasionally we can have an event there once in a while, depending on their schedule, depending on when we're doing our things. The Cell, if you recall, or for those of you who haven't been there, is a more theatrical space and is a bigger area that is set up specifically for performance, and which can accommodate more, multi-character theatrical pieces or dance and so on. And that's a thing that we have. We have a committee of some of our members who help produce and proselytize, I guess, about the salons. And we're always looking for folks to join and help out with that. It's a bit interesting, I think, because part of the flow of the way the evenings go is it's not quite like an open mic or a free-for-all. We do ask people to sign up in advance and to be a little bit more sort of prepared and a little bit more to sort of take it a bit seriously, so that ideally for the folks in the audience, they're entertained and moved. And I think very frequently that is always the case. That is always the case. And if it's not, that's your fault. But and it's something Maliki says all the time, that it's an amazing night of entertainment that you get for free in New York, which is almost never happens anymore, right? So that's the. Let me see if I have one more. I did have some other thing. Part of the idea of the Salon Committee is that different members can be the producer and organizer for particular evenings, so that it's not all one person's job or one person's sort of vision. And we've done different members have done different things in the past. We are hoping to do another immigration themed salon pretty soon. We also Nancy Oda is putting together a legal themed salon. No pressure, but and we've had salons in the past that have been focused on one sort of general idea or another. We also have been successful, and hopefully will be again in the future, in collaborating with other entities and different groups, and that I'm going to use that as a jumping off point to the other special events that we have, particularly ones that we've done and ones that we have coming up. I'm going to have a little water first, because it turns out that my mouth is not hydrated properly before I started this talk. One of the collaborations that we're very fortunate to be doing is we're going to be having an event at the Irish Arts Center on June 6th, which is going to be sort of like a showcase for people who've had recent publications. And we're also going to have a little music from Erin Hall. Erin and her cello, as you may recall the person, but the authors are going to have Patricia Brody, Joseph Goodrich, Anthony Murphy, and Charlie Heenan, who are all either new or returning members of our organization and have all had books out recently. And it's going to be a very nice time. I highly encourage you to come out for that. But it's also, we're fortunate to be able to use the space at the Irish Arts Center, their lobby area. It's a very nice place for events. And then coming up June 16th is Bloomsday, and this is going to be the third annual our Iowa collaboration with the James Joyce Society, and also the bar Dive 106, which is at 106th Street and Amsterdam Avenue, and a collaboration with the people of New York. Whoever happens to be coming by, it's the line about the voice of God is a shout in the street. That is sort of what our Bloomsday is, a bit more, grassroots and out there, and it's a very good time. So that's going to be on June 16th at 4 p.m. We have other events that we don't have dates for yet, but we're looking forward to setting them up going forward into the fall and beyond. I believe that I've said more than I've said any actual words. I apologize for that. But that is basically what I have to share for you today. I will be open for questions towards the end, and you want to talk to me about the Salon Committee or any other questions you have, you can grab me later on. I'm pretty easy to spot. But I'm now going to pass the torch to our president, Ms. Maria Deasy.
Yay, Brendan!
I like a good written script. Thank you, Brendan. We were actually, Shelley was going to be here, Shelley and Quilty Lake. She is our new treasurer, for those of you who don't know, but she got caught up writing a brief, I think, for court, so she's not here. But we're very happy that she is now in the role of treasurer, and she's taking the time to be thoughtful about how we best use our funding for the most effective results. And we're really happy that we're really thankful to Sean O'Dowd for his service and his commitment, and he decided to step down in January, but he really did a phenomenal job for us. So in absentia, we thank him. So to my mind, I'm going to talk a little bit actually about our charitable contributions. To my mind, our organizational contributions should go in the direction in which we shine, which to me is uplifting the individual artist, as well as towards smaller organizations. Now, it's not all up to me. This is a board vote, but I'm going to say my piece. We support smaller organizations like the Sail Project in Dublin, for whom our $500 donations are actually really impactful. By comparison, some of our sister organizations, the larger organizations here in New York, have been bequeathed several $1 million and by the various governments, and there's nothing wrong with that, but when it comes to providing output to satisfy their own missions, they're focused on larger scale projects, and they don't have the bandwidth for grassroots cultivation that we do. And the grassroots cultivation that individual artists, writers, performers need. So I personally feel that our funding is better spent where it makes a localized impact and where it's in keeping with our integrity. We can really make a difference to the solo player, the playwright who bartends, or the poet who, in Larry Kerwin's famous words, is a nurse. We all know, we can name names of nurses we know who are also amazing poets. So we provide, thanks to Maliki and his idea for the salons, and to Brendan for his continued producing of those evenings, we provide a development platform for the solo creator who's toiling away in their basement, composing or writing plays or practicing a monologue or working through a poem. They know that we have their back. They know they have a place to try their work out, to get the word out, and to be inspired to get back to work if they need to. By the way, our contribution to SAIL this year, and I think most of you have heard us speak about the SAIL project, went to the creation of this book, Cadence, which was a book of poetry by the SAIL sisters with special contributions by myself, by Brendan, by Marsha Loughran, and lesser known writers like Paula Meehan and Colleen Tobin. So, you know, when we make donations, we do so. The SAIL Project is an organization that seeks to support women who are recovering from addiction and poverty, issues related to poverty. And what I loved about this project was the money went towards art that supports their mission of recovery. So I thought this was a really great, combination of all that we do best. So the ways in which IAWA makes a difference is in the way that we're unique in size and in mission. We're small, but we're fierce. And we have a core group of impassioned individuals like yourselves who work tirelessly to produce special events throughout the year. And I'm just going to review a little bit of our most recent calendar. In December, we conducted an online seminar and a writing workshop in collaboration with African American Irish Diaspora Network, AIDN. It was hosted by Cave Canem Fellow Terry Ellen Cross Davis, who's the poetry coordinator of the Folger Shakespeare Library. It featured experts from pro-genealogists, Appalachian poet Ramika Bingham-Risher, and Ireland professor of poetry Paula Meehan, and we're hoping we can create a special salon with AIDN in the future, or a special event with them where they kind of bring their people and we create a salon with them. In January, as most of you know, we launched our oral history project, Crossing the Waters, and it was a sold-out audience at Origin Theatre's first Irish Festival. We're planning a Crossing the Waters Take 2 with more interview subjects soon. And in fact, as part of our How the Irish Pudding is Made program, we played a significant role in the development of several productions at First Irish, including the musical Peace and Love in Brooklyn by Amy Otuma, Honor Malloy's Dublin Noir, and Bridget, a play by Maura Mulligan. And these theatrical pieces were all developed through readings at IAWA salons, and they featured a lot of our actors. In February, Karen Daly and Shelley Quilty Lake spearheaded Salon Embolic, which celebrated Irish women with music, stories, and poetry. And our St. Patrick's Day contribution was an on-camera interview with author and IAWA co-founder Peter Quinn, which was filmed and created by Brendan. Other successes I'd like to review, and I'd like to repeat, actually, include the first annual, hopefully second annual, Stephen J. Fearon Humor Salon, which was at the Historic Friars Club in August, hosted by Sarah, which connected us with a different segment of our creative community. The New York Poetry Fest, where we sponsored a table in support of our poets who read their work as part of the program, and enormous gratitude and credit goes to Jennifer Kelly for organizing that. And of course, we hosted our highly successful O'Neill Lifetime Achievement Award ceremony honoring Larry Kerwin, and we returned for the first time in person with him and stellar former recipients like John Patrick Shanley, Maliki, and Kate Mulgrew in attendance. Speaking of Larry, I recently served as an honorary chair for the Irish Echo Arts Awards, along with Larry, board member Derek Carr, and member Maura Mulligan. And as an organization, some of you may be aware, hopefully, we were able to choose 3 special members to receive artist awards. And our board made recommendations, we voted. We very much wanted to recognize those whom we've observed to be outstanding members of the community who are thriving and developing in their art. We chose Meg Hennessy, Marshall Loughran, and Sheila Walsh as our honorees, but there were many, many candidates. Sheila's here. And our own captivist, John McDonough, also received a special award. And Sarah was there to cheer everyone on. I was unfortunate, I was in Ireland, so I was unable to attend, and Brendan attended in his capacity as vice president. And by all accounts, IAWA represented its spirit and the spirit of its mission, and there was great crack all around. Speaking of Ireland, I was there in April, and I was lucky to attend something called Lekéla Arish Together Again. It was the Global Irish Civic Forum in Dublin Castle, and I was completely astonished by the attention that the Irish government gives its diaspora. Now, obviously, I knew this from going to so many consular events and knowing all of our, partner organizations and sister organizations, but to see it on a global scale, local, in one place, it was extraordinary. The breadth of organizations who serve the Irish community worldwide is incredible. The event was hosted by the Department of Foreign Affairs, and it engaged Irish organizations from all over the world on the 5 pillars of the country's diaspora strategy, which was really interesting to me. Number 1, our people. Number 2, our values. 3, our prosperity. 4, our culture. And 5, our influence. So there were panels on each of those topics. They did an amazing job of planning and hosting the discussions. And I, had many personal conversations on how to stay connected as a diaspora. I met with organization leaders from Australia, from Canada, from South Africa, from Italy. It really blew me away, the connection, the passion, the different ways in which people were serving their communities. There were a lot of like a SAIL project, community centers who had sent representatives. There were some arts, there was a theater from, I don't know if it was Michigan. Anyway, there were different representatives, and it was just such a wide swath of connectivity that I found it really inspiring. Dennis Brownlee from Aden was there, Dr. Miriam Nyan Gray from the Luxembourg Island House, Patrick Sheldon, who's a journalist here based in New York, Siobhan Dennehy, who's the executive director of the Emerald Isle Immigration Center, her husband, Dan Dennehy, and I got to meet up again with our former friend, Kieran Madden, the former Consul General, and then his former deputy, Anna McGillicuddy, which was really, they're such lovely people, and Kieran played a big role in it. He was one of the hosts of a panel. The focus was not on the arts. As I said, there were panels on community service, on equity, diversity, and inclusion issues, on business, on Irish language. And my takeaway, first of all, I felt very honored and sort of, oh my God, I've been invited to this. Is so amazing. I didn't know this existed, But my takeaway was that IAWA really belonged there. We're not kind of the smaller poor cousin of the larger institutions. We have the support through funding, and we have the recognition by the Emigrant Support Program. And I think that's really important. It's important for us to know that we're really powerful in our individualized approach. We have the capability of making an international impact. Just to give you some numbers, we serve a community of approximately 1,800 people who we reach through our newsletter, which, as you all know, promotes our events and our members' events, and as well as other Irish organizations' events. As of today, we have about 175 paid-up members. We have approximately an additional 150 plus who attend our events, may not be members, but come to events throughout the year. On our social media, we have 5,500 followers on Facebook, 2,900 on Twitter, and 1,500 on Instagram. So that's, that's pretty decent. Here's an ask, okay? We do need our members to help keep all this going. And this can be as simple as tweeting or posting about our activities, so that we can continue to connect, to continue to represent ourselves as the vibrant organization that we are. It is invaluable for any of you who like to kind of like send a tweet or, post a picture. Please do it. We would love to have that assistance and that participation and that enthusiasm. Another ask could be for someone to take pictures at our events. I know John Kwok has taken pictures for us, lovely, at Sarah's salon.
It's been an honor.
It's very nice. Thank you.
Jay.
And Jay has as well. I think Maureen probably, I'm sure there are people, many people here. Gordon, of course. And then, of course, hosting a salon, which is not as scary as it sounds and is incredibly gratifying. And you will have, if you want to host a salon, you'll have the support of Brendan, of me, of other people involved in your organization. So now, back to fun stuff. This year's Eugene O'Neill recipient, not sure if everybody already knows, but let's pretend this is a great big reveal, is New York Times journalist and Pulitzer Prize winning author Dan Barry. He actually is honored. He said, he basically said, is this a joke? Like, you can back out if you want, Maria. I was like, no, it's real. You're the guy. We're absolutely thrilled to be able to honor him. He's been a great friend to the organization, and he's obviously a very accomplished and wonderful writer. Some of you may have heard that Rosie O'Grady's is relocating. I am told by them it's a good thing, but they can't host anybody or have any events until after the end of the year. So we are shopping for a location. We're shopping hard. If you have a contact or you have a lead or you can do some recon on an idea, please let us know. We are, obviously not sitting on our hands. We're doing as much sort of investigating as possible, but we're still open to ideas. We're hoping to pin it down in the next couple of weeks. Free venues are really, really welcome. So anyway, I'm going to close with an underscoring of what I said earlier. What makes IAWA special is that we work with artists from the ground up. And I passionately believe in this. Because that is what makes the difference between a script staying in the drawer, a song left unsung, a life story never told, a film unscreened, versus a tune that moves its listeners, a life story that heals with truths that are told, a film that fills a room with laughter, and a production with a ticket-buying audience. So what we do collectively is vital on an individual level, which is where all creativity starts, and our artistic contributions stand out on a global stage, and we should be proud of that, and it's because of all of you. So thank you.
Thank you, Maria.
And Q&A, I guess.
Yeah.
We'll open the forum. Sarah Fearon.
That was so great. And I mean, to hear everything together, I feel like that, maybe if people didn't get to attend, if you send that out as a newsletter, it's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, it's great. Like when you look, I mean, I was going through it myself. I was like, look at us. This is great. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
When you add up all the stuff we do in like one long sentence, it sounds really nice.
One thing when you were talking about, which is really the initial mission of the group, one thing that came to mind was in the supporting that maybe we could have like a scholarship that people apply for that's like to support whatever they're doing. And it could also be a way of getting a lot of attraction. Like, people would apply for like $10 to get whatever is decided is the amount to like produce a play for the evening to have a reading for a night at the Cell couldn't be more than like $1,000, you know, or something.
Yeah.
You know, somebody who's self-publishing, somebody who's doing something else, or something that is a specific little scholarship for someone to apply to that could engage a lot of people, and it could be like if everybody pays a little something to apply, and
Right.
you know, it could be a nice source of promoting the mission.
Right, yeah, I think that's
Yeah,
one of the
yeah.
things about doing that kind of thing. I mean, the application fee might be a little bit tricky because, you know,
Yeah.
depending on, because I did this once with a magazine I was doing in Brooklyn, and we got right on the edge of doing like wire fraud, basically. So I don't really quite want to do that.
Well, it
But
should be a perk of the membership anyway.
well, and it could be it'd be a way of making a branded almost type of thing. But
Yeah.
I was going to say, first off, I think it's a great idea, and I don't want to interrupt on your.
No, it's the floor is open.
I think that you maybe sped over how the pudding is made. Maybe you want to say a little bit more.
Okay.
About that.
Well, there are two things. So number one, so the first application that we did for the immigrant support program, we had this whole breakdown of scholarships that we wanted to give. We called it the Coogee Awards. We had a pitch for it. They didn't go for it. They didn't fund it. Doesn't mean we can't do it on our own. I think we should. And I completely agree that we should have something, or maybe a few smaller, stipends. I think the Artist Awards were a good way to start that thinking. But I agree. I'd like to see us do that. How the pudding is made it's sort of meant to be the theatrical umbrella, which, you know, we've kind of dipped in and out of. Connor Bagley was kind of going to lead that, and then he's been, I think, very busy with directing Larry's show. But it doesn't have to be limited to honor Connor's availability. We want to make sure that we're, you know, giving opportunities for actors and for playwrights who have different needs than sort of like the single person that gets up and reads at a salon or sings at a salon. So that could be another place where we do because one of those needs is actual funding, because you kind of have to pay actors when you do a reading. Mm-hmm. So that could be a place where we apply funding, or we have some kind of scholarship thing. I think we should definitely talk about that as a board. Shelley, one of the things that Shelley is doing is taking a look at our charitable contributions and kind of seeing like what direction do we want to go in? I made my case here for how I think it should go, but I also agree that, you know, we should maybe do some kind of scholarship or some kind of project, fund some kind of series of projects.
Yeah, like
to the extent able. We don't have a huge treasury, guys, but we can make a difference with people, you know, for whom $1,000 gets their reading on the ground, you know. Anybody else?
I also, by the way, I realized I completely forgot to mention the online salons, which we are continuing to do post-COVID. And because part of it is we actually gained a lot of membership and a lot of interest beyond the New York metro area. And in particular, we've been able to have salons, and it's weird because of COVID, and I think just because technology has improved, we were able to do international salons more successfully than when we had tried them in the past. And I guess everybody just has more bandwidth and better, hardware or whatever. But I want to give a special shout out to Lori Castles in the Bay Area, who has been really great in hosting some of the online salons. And again, part of it is she's not the only person who can do it.
She did the Eugene O'Neill focus.
She did
one.
a Eugene O'Neill focus one.
Yeah.
That was amazing.
And we've had other things we've been able to use that technology for all of the horribleness that Zoom can bring. It can also work very well for bringing people together across time zones and continents and and everything.
Yeah.
And so that's been a thing that's been really great. And again, really expanding our reach so that you're not just being heard by the people in the room, you're being heard by people literally across the country and across the ocean. So that's something we want to continue, and especially since we're filming this for export for all the folks who couldn't make it tonight. I just wanted to make sure I acknowledge and make a point about that.
Sarah.
Oh, I just remembered something that people were chatting about at the Buffalo trip, was that they were talking about having something where people who had done self-publishing, talked about how they actually, the process of it.
Mm-hmm.
I just wanted to remember to mention.
Well, that was something that, it was part of the idea with how the sausage was made. Excuse me, I keep saying sausage.
Black and white
American. The how the pudding was made was to give people a sense of process, and then occasionally when we've had salons where people have been published or we're focusing on somebody or they're doing like a book launch, is to talk to them about how they went from being a writer to being a published author.
Right, not necessarily self-published, but just that whole process,
Yeah, because again, that's part of the thing that ideally, theoretically, just through networking, people might be able to find out how to get an agent or whatever, or even just learning that concept, like how to make a chapbook. What's the benefit of having a chapbook?
I think that also brings up a good point, because we've talked about, having panels with agents and like literary agents and managers and doing an event, and somehow we've never quite gotten there and done it. But that's something that, like, if you feel like you can do that and you can assemble a group of knowledgeable people on a topic that's relevant to what we do, come to us and do it. Let's do it. We all are working hard. We only have so much bandwidth. I mean, I'm kind of speaking to everybody who already participates anyway, but do you know what I mean? If you're talking to another member of IAWA, or if you kind of felt like, oh, you know what, I don't really it's not my place because I'm not on the board and I'm not, just come to us and say, I have this friend who's a literary agent and I think I can get her to speak, or something like that. And we'll put it together, we'll make it happen, as long as it's not something that costs a lot of money, or like, we're open to ideas, we're open to empowering everybody here and anybody who watches this and who's a member. Anybody else?
Who wants to hear a song?
Wait, before. So this, we are auctioning, no, we're raffling. If you would like a copy of this, Sarah Fearon is in charge of the raffle. All right. Do we want to do this now or after the song?
It's up to you. I also have a hat you can use.
Let's finish. If Melly, we'll finish with the song. Okay. All right. So, without further ado, and in the grand tradition of IAWA, I cede the floor to Mr. Malachi McCourt.
Welcome all. I'm sitting here enthralled by the verbal technique and brilliance of two of the most wonderful people who have been running our writers' organization. I don't know of anybody that could make, boring stuff. They can make it very interesting. There it is. I'm going back. When we, like all organizations, we are built on resentment. We had to break away from a group that were not doing the right thing according to our ideas of right things. And that's why we have this right thing going. And the progress over the years has been astonishing, that we became well-known, we have become respected, we author, people they check us, they want to find out what are we thinking, and we're not going to tell the fucker. And there it is. So that is, I'm delighted to be a member. It's difficult these days getting around and so forth, as does happen. And so on a personal note, my cognizance or memory is fading. And I'm 91, and I don't know.
It is not.
So is mine.
That's mine. It's not. His is not.
Okay, Siobhan. But I used to know, I could quote poetry, sing a song, but now I can't remember any of this stuff. And it's very embarrassing, and I don't know what to do about it. I imagine there might be some kind of remedies for, I don't know, it's called dementia, whatever the hell it's called, but it's happening to me. And so I find myself trying to remember songs and poetry and words, sayings, proverbs, and all of them are fading from my memory. So what do I do about that? I don't know, but anyway, I can share that with you. Maria said, we're going to ask you to sing. And I was sitting there thinking, what am I going to sing? And I can't remember. I can't remember what a song now, right now. I can't. I mean, I used to know lots of songs, but now they're gone. They have faded. And it saddens me. And I think the more I think about it, the more I talk about it, it seems like, and I don't talk about it really. Siobhan thinks I have a wonderful memory, but it's...
Because now you know Irish all of a sudden. Like, I don't know where that came from. Like, you used to not know any Irish words, and now all of a sudden you're talking in Irish.
Well, it's, I think when the thing is, my own history is non-academic. I went to school born in New York, in Brooklyn. I went to school, well, my sister died, and my mother had a breakdown, and off we went to Ireland. My mother, father, Frank, and myself, and the twin boys went to Ireland. And there, the twin boys died, and my father buggered off, left my mother with two more kids involved. There were four of us. So we went to a school that caused people to sneer when we were the Leamy's National School. It was a kind of place for future convicts. And we were lucky we didn't end up in the reformatory, or there it was. And so I was quite stupid in school. I couldn't comprehend anything. Arithmetic, grammar, particularly I couldn't understand grammar. I still don't know what it's about, but I know that it has there's certain proper things, a proper way. But all I know is that I learned to speak English, and that that's been very helpful over the years, especially when I went to England when I was 16 to work, and there it was. And in England, I worked in a factory, Dunlop's, and there any Irish person that went to England, no matter what you said, told them, they called us all Petty. Oh, Petty. Petty, 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 Petty. Yeah. My name is Malachi. Oh, right, Malachi. Petty. and that sort of thing. So, but being an omnibus, when the library came to Limerick, Frank and myself went in there. We joined up, and it was marvelous. They put us in the children's section because we were children, and but then, because the librarians were somewhat illiterate, we were able to go into the adult section and take out adult books. They didn't know the fucking difference. So they let us get away with it. So that's how we managed to get into Edgar Allan Poe and all those other Shakespeare and so on. We managed to get writing, reading, I should say. And Frank got typhoid fever, and he nearly died. And when he came back to our slum school, they put him back a year, and he was in this awful position of being in the same class as his younger brother. Disgraceful. So we had a composition one day, and I remember the master, the headmaster, we were in this class. He read this and he said to Frank, McCourt, you are, I'll never forget this now, I don't know why it's stuck in my memory. McCourt, you are a literary genius.
Wow.
That's what this man said to this kid. He was 14. And I suggest that when you grow up, go to America. They will appreciate you there.
Wow.
What prophetic words.
Wow, they did.
Amazing, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was, now of course I am in the shadow of a literary genius. So, to get here. So I didn't, so I left when I was 15. That was it for me in the way of formal education. So I didn't go back, and Frank, when he came to America, somehow he went to a night school or something and got a high school diploma, and then he got into NYU and became he got a certificate there that he was a bachelor of something. Then he became a master, and then he became the only high school teacher in New York that didn't have a high school diploma. And he taught at the most prestigious high school in the city, Stuyvesant High School. So anyway, there was all that, and I'm in the shadow of that literacy and brilliance. And so Frank then was always scribbling, and then he wrote this book. And people say, who would be interested? But he showed it to somebody and showed it to somebody, and that was how he became a Pulitzer Prize winner. I'm very proud of that. Now, people have said, well, you should write a book. I said, well, I can't write. I said, I can't write. I can't compose. I don't know anything about grammar. I wouldn't know it, but I'd try it anyway. So I did. But my good fortune was that Frank was already published. and therefore I had the name McCourt. They figured, oh, he must be able to write. So that got the doors open, and that's really, that's how you do it, you see. Anybody who wants to be a writer, just have a relative who won a Pulitzer Prize. So that was my good fortune. There it was, and so I'm the last of that crew. My sister, who died here, sent my mother in a breakdown, which meant which caused her to go to Ireland. My father left us. Twin boys in Ireland died at 3 and 4 years old. So I was 3 kids in childhood. And then we grew up. And now they're, Mike and Alfie, they were good at the pen, and Frank, and they've all died, and I'm the last one. And it saddens me that they're not around. And then here am I, 91, and I hope I'm not boring you.
No, never.
Forever.
He will.
My memory is going, and Maria said, we expect you to sing.
You don't have to.
I was thinking, what am I going to sing?
You've taught us
You
a
don't have
song.
to sing.
We can sing it back
with
to
you.
you.
You
You
can
taught us
sing with you.
an amazing song,
What was it?
the summertime.
Oh,
Yes.
oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh,
Do you want to do
oh, we can do that. Can
You
we?
taught all of us.
Oh, good.
Maureen,
Okay. So anyway, any questions? That gets me off the hook.
Should we sing together?
I don't know if you can.
Oh, the summertime.
Could you try to cut your part? Okay.
And the trees are
Sweetly blooming, and the wild mountain thyme grows around the blooming heather. Will you go, lassie? Sing the song, children. And we'll all go together to the wild mountain thyme, all around the blooming heather. Will you go, lassie, go? I will build my love a bower on your crystal fountain, and on it I will pile all the flowers of the mountain. Where you go, lassie, go. Sing the song, children. And we'll all go together to the wild mountain thyme, all around the blooming heather. Will you go, lassie, go? Where else? Don't forget listening to John McDonough and myself every Sunday.
And this Sunday, it's a 2-hour special, the best of Malik and McCord.
Oh, nice. Man.
How he survived. Reverend Billy, when he canonized him as a saint, said he needed 2 miracles. One was the miracle he got out of hospice care alive. And we're going to play the second miracle of him going into a restaurant naked and getting out alive.
Okay.
We're gonna have a clip of that story.
What time is that at, John?
It's gonna be 11 to 1 o'clock on Sunday, so we have all the bits, and then if anyone contributes, you're gonna get the Best of Maliki record.
Ooh, nice.
Yes.
Our USB.
Memorial Weekend Special.
Yeah,
Oh,
WBAI.org.
pick the winner.
So we're
Here's the
we're
raffle.
raffling this.
Maggie Cadden.
Oh!
There you go.
Did you?
So thank you, everyone. We're going to
Yeah.
thank you, Maliki.
Maliki.
We're going to reconvene downstairs at the Wheel Tapper Pub, as one does, at Fitzpatrick's Hotel. So please join us. Sorry?
Across the street.
It's on 44th Street. It's part of the
It's the Fitzpatrick Hotel. It's right downstairs. If you go downstairs and you walk out of 44th side, it's to your right. The Wheel Tapper.
We'll probably be in the back. There's an outdoor courtyard area. Although I guess we'll see how we feel.
Yeah.
Whereas we're a lean enough group, we can move anywhere.
Vote. I propose a vote of thanks to Maria and
Yes.
Brandon for a well.